I've gotten a lot of clients recently who have gotten crazy results within the first 2 weeks, anywhere between 5 to 10 to 20 clients within the first 2 weeks. So I want to show you what they're doing, kind of the strategy we're using over the course of the first 2 weeks, how they're doing it, and so hopefully you can get the same result yourself. All right, the first thing is the characteristics of these people, their mindset behind actually starting an agency. I've noticed a huge difference between some people that don't get any results for months and the people that get results in the first 2 weeks. I'm going to show you kind of what they're doing. The first thing is they are extremely hungry. They work day and night trying to get as many clients as humanly possible. I've seen the difference between people that they kind of want everything done for them. They want to take the pill to lose weight or to feel happy, whatever it is. But nothing is never really done for you. And I think these people understand that if they want the result, they have to get it themselves. There's work that they have to do in order to get that result. And so they do everything they possibly can to get that result. The second thing is they actually apply the strategies. What's really annoying is I have so many people coming to me every week and they're like, Carson, this is not working for me. I don't know why it's not working for me. Okay, what's going on, right? They sent out 50 messages and they didn't get any responses, or they're not getting any clients yet. But I'm on Discord. I see that you're on playing Fortnite right now, right? And you've been playing for the last 4 hours, and I can see that. So I know you're not doing as much as you possibly could be doing. And you're coming to me saying that you've done everything you could and nothing's working for you, when I know for a fact you haven't done that. I've made so many videos that there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. I've made so many videos where I sit here for an hour. I sit here for 30 minutes, and I book 3 calls in 30 minutes, 5 calls in an hour. Almost no effort, right? You just have to actually sit there and do the numbers. That's the main thing, is just putting in the numbers where I have to actually send 20 messages within this hour. I actually have to send 100 messages within this hour, right? I can guarantee unlimited clients if you just do, you use the exact script that I give you, you use the exact list I give you, you reach out to this exact audience, and you just cold call for 2 hours a day, and you actually put in the numbers. What most people say, where they're actually, I did 2 hours of cold calling, or I sent out this many messages. Usually, they don't actually mean it. 2 hours of cold calling was 10 calls, nobody picked up, and then you went on Fortnite for an hour, right? Most of the time, it is kind of boring work, but that's the point of all this, right? And I've said this in other videos where it's going to be boring, and that's the reason that you can get farther ahead than anybody else, is because you were willing to just sit there for an hour and nobody else was, And the next thing is that they just steal from other people. The easiest way to get clients in the door is literally just steal somebody else's offer. Guaranteed, that is the easiest way to get clients. So I remember when I was just starting out, and I bought like Sam Ovens' course. This guy, if you don't know who he is, just another guru, right? And he was teaching how to, get clients in different ways, but how to start a consulting business. But he said, hey, you don't want to copy me, because if you copy me, you're going to lose. You're not going to get any clients, and I'm way better than you, so why would you ever copy me, right? And so then I was thinking, well, I don't know what to do. I don't really know how to apply these skills. I don't really know what niche to go into. I don't really know what people want, right? And so I was like, well, I can't copy this guy. But then I saw so many other people copying him, right? Just using the exact same offer, and they were making millions of dollars. And I was like, well, how are they copying him and making millions of dollars? Yet he said that, you couldn't copy him because he was already the best at this, And the only reason he said that is because he was just really trying to preserve himself so that other people wouldn't come into the market. So I didn't go into the market because he said so, right? But it was a really dumb decision on my part, because later on, right, I was, scrolling through Facebook one day, down on my luck. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't have a business at all. I wasn't making any money. And I was scrolling through Facebook. I saw a post of someone said, does anyone need help getting appointments? And I had 60 comments of people that were desperately interested. Yeah, I'm interested. I just DM'd you. I'm really interested in this. Can you help me out, right? And I was like, well, if people are already desperate for this offer, if I just pitch the same offer, I'm sure they would be interested, because I can already see that it's working, And so I took that exact post and posted it myself, the exact same thing. And when I posted it, I got like 30, 40 comments on my post, and I got my first 2 clients with this new agency model, which is a B2B agency, which is what I do now. And so the entire business I have right now was just because I copied somebody else. I didn't even know that this was an opportunity. I didn't even know that you could set appointments for other people and you can make money doing that. I did not know that was something that I could do, but just because I saw someone else's post, I saw that the market was actually very interested in this thing. Then I now have an entire business. I've made $1 million, literally $1 million, just from copying something else. And so most of the clients that I've had that have had really good success, they literally just copied someone else that was already working. For example, I had a guy who was trying to do a few things, and it just wasn't really working for him. I told him, hey, if I were you, I would just try a few other things, try this niche, because I had another client who also tried this niche, and they got 6 clients in the first month. They went and they took that niche, because they were just stealing it from some other guy, right, that already had success in that niche, and they got 20 clients in the first 2 weeks doing that, right? I also had someone else who came to me, and I gave him the advice of, hey, steal an offer that's already working. They found someone else who was targeting the same niche that they were targeting. They found their offer that they were using, and then they just started pitching that offer to people, right? And they got 30 to 50 people interested the first day of sending out that message. And so it's really easy to get a ton of clients just by copying something else. So definitely, even though it sounds unethical, it sounds wrong, whatever, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing what's already working. There's nothing wrong with doing push-ups, because we already know push-ups work, right? Now, in my program, I basically give you the exact offers that I was using, so you can steal it directly from me. I give you the exact scripts I was using, the exact lead list I was using, and the exact strategies I was using, so you can copy directly from me, and I guarantee you'll get appointments for leads or clients within the first 2 weeks, guaranteed. So if you're interested in that, you can book a call below. Now let's get into what exactly these clients were doing within the first 2 weeks. The first thing we did was focus 100% on sales. I see so many people coming to me where they say, Carson, I've spent the last 3 months building this website, this offer, the back end and everything like that, and I have everything ready to go, and here's the offer, and we're ready to get started. And I'm like, well, that was the dumbest idea ever, because you just wasted 3 months of your life, because I already know this offer is not going to work. I already know the audience doesn't care about this offer. I already know it's going to be really hard to get clients within this audience. And so we should do something completely different. They just spent 3 months of their life trying to develop this thing. And so what you should do first is try to sell it to people first, and then figure out everything else. So when I saw the post of the guy that said, hey, does anyone need help getting appointments? And I copied and posted myself, I really had no clue. I mean, I already knew how to get appointments and stuff. I kind of knew the back end of what I was going to do, but I didn't set up a website. I didn't do anything else. I just posted it, right? Just exactly what he did. I posted it, and I tried to see if anyone was interested. And guess what? 30 people were interested. I got 2 clients out of it. So again, focusing 100% on sales first, and also stealing other offers, like I already said. And so if you come to me, I've already worked with over 800 agencies. So if you say, hey, what do you think about real estate agents? I'll give you offers I've already seen work within the real estate agent market, and they give you outreach strategies I've already seen work within the real estate market, so you can steal them directly from me and just go off into that market, right? The second thing we do is try to set up automations in order to get appointments. Obviously, there's like 50 different ways of getting appointments, but I try to do the automations first, just because it's like an easy layup. So if we can set up automations to where it takes us a couple hours, and we have the scripts that we are already working, we have the strategies that are already working, and we just start sending out messages on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, SMS, whatever, and it's automated going, right? So where throughout the week, it's just going to keep sending out messages for us. Then we can kind of get appointments coming in through the door throughout those automations. And so we just wake up in the morning to 10 replies, people that are interested, and we respond back and forth and turn them into booked calls. I usually automate SMS, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, and sometimes Instagram. I found that SMS had the fastest calls, so you can get calls really quick the same day with SMS, but sometimes a little lower quality. The highest quality calls came from either LinkedIn or Facebook. It just can take a couple of days, but usually, no more than 2 or 3 days before you start getting calls from those platforms. Email, you have to do a ton in order to get any booked appointments. They're probably my least favorite platform is email, just because you only get like a 1% response rate. With SMS, you'll get like a 20% response rate. So I create the scripts for them, I set up the automations, and we start running the automations for them. Usually we should be able to get responses with most of the platforms within 2 to 3 days. SMS, we should get responses within the first day. Now from here, we have automations going, messages going out to people, and we're just trying to wait for people to come back to us and say that they're interested, right? So they respond and back and say, yeah, I'm interested, let's talk, later this week, whatever, right? But obviously we're just sitting there waiting for people to reply, because the automations are already going. So from there, what I like to do is manual processes. So manual outreach strategies that work extremely well, but obviously they take time for us to do. You have to sit there and actually do them. So things like personalized outreach or cold calling works extremely well. It just takes time for you to do it. So if you have the time, and most of you do, if you have the time, then I would definitely do these processes after you have the automation set up. So you can do something like voicemail drops. Now this is technically also automated, but it's sending a voicemail to somebody to see if they're interested in your offer or whatever, and then they'll call you back. The way I don't really see it too much as automated, because the voicemail goes out to them automated and we can send it out to 200 people, but then they call you back, and so then we have to pick up the phone and then say, oh hey, did you listen to the voicemail? Awesome. Are you interested in this thing? Can we chat maybe later this week? You talking about the offer, whatever. And so you'll get like 30 calls every day, or you can get 100 calls a day, honestly. People calling you back, saying that they're interested in the offer. But it just takes time for you to sit there and do the calls for you. Obviously, you can hire somebody else to do that, to VA. But in the beginning, I would just do most of the things yourself. The other thing we can do is personalized outreach. I have some unique strategies for this. For example, I just did a video a week or 2 ago, and it was me just sending out voice notes, and it actually worked pretty well. So I sat there for a half an hour, only half an hour. I only sent out 20 messages, and I had a really good script that I already knew worked, and so that's why it worked out pretty well. But I got 3 booked calls within that half an hour. And so we have the automations running, and we might get maybe 3 to 5 calls a day from the automations, but I can just sit here for half an hour and also get another 3 calls right on top of that. And that was just a half an hour of doing the manual process. If I did it for an hour, I might have gotten 5 calls. If I did it for 2 hours, I might have got 7 to 10 calls booked from just sitting there, right? So again, no excuses. If you just are using the right scripts, go to the right audience, and just reach out, and you just sit there for 2 hours a day, there is no point, and there's no reason you shouldn't have at least 5 to 10 sales calls a day. So if I set up an automated SMS campaign, it might take me 30 minutes to set it up for the entire week. I might get a 20% response rate and a 1% booking rate, which is pretty good. But with a voice note campaign, right, it takes me 30 minutes to do, and I can only send out 20 in those 30 minutes. But I might get a 35% response rate and a 15% booking rate. So it's good doing both of those things. Have a much lower response rate, much lower booked call rate with the automations, but it's still good to just have it going, and then also doing the manual process on top of that. So now, if you do not have calls coming in, booked sales calls coming in within the first 2 days of doing this, then you're doing something wrong. Either you're not sending enough messages, like you're not just not getting to enough people. Usually you should be trying to aim for at least 200 per day, unless it's with email. Email, again, your response rate is going to be like a 1%, and that's not even positive reply rates. That's just like people saying, I'm out of the office, right? So a 1% response rate out of 200 emails, that's 2 replies, right? And both of those are probably going to be, I'm out of office. So we need to send like 500 for that. So at least either you're not sending enough messages or your messages just aren't even going through. So if you're sending out 500 emails a day, then let's just say you're going to spam, we're not really getting any replies coming in. Well, that's the problem. People actually just aren't even seeing your message at all. And so we need to make sure that people are actually seeing the messages. And then the third thing is that they're just not interested. So if people are responding, but they're just saying, I'm not interested in this, or sometimes the fourth thing, sometimes this happens where you have the wrong lead list. People say, I'm retired, or I don't work there anymore, or you have the wrong number, or you have the wrong email. Sometimes that can be a problem issue too. So it's also good to have the right type of data, but most of the time they're just not interested. So we need to adjust something. Okay, the only way that we have massive change is that we change something massively, right? And so if we have like I say, we're not getting any sales calls, the only way we're going to get more sales calls is not by maybe slightly increasing the amount of messages we're sending per day, or maybe slightly changing the script. Sometimes that can work, but usually massive change comes from massive change. So we need to change something dramatically, send out 10 times more messages, change the script entirely, try to use a completely different lead scraping source. Again, the only way we're going to have massive change is through massive change. So if you keep changing these things, usually, and most of the times it is the offer. Most of you guys really suck at building out outreach messages and doing scripts, and that's why I gave you scripts, because you guys are so bad at this. I've made so many videos on how to do this, but for some reason you guys just don't get it. So that's why I give you guys the scripts. Hey, here's exactly what you want to say this thing. I guarantee you'll get more responses with this script right here. And so if you use those, you will get plenty of sales calls with those, right? When I was first starting, I was sending out messages to solar and roofing companies. I was sending through email, some LinkedIn messages, and a little bit of Facebook, and it just wasn't really working for me. I had the automations running. I was only getting maybe 2 to 3 sales calls a week, and I was looking for anything I could possibly do to get more sales calls. So I tried to do some massive change. I was getting all these phone numbers. I was like, what if I either cold called or texted them? So I texted 100 people on a Saturday, and I got 10 booked calls. So the cold email and the LinkedIn, at least for that industry, just wasn't really working for me, but doing the SMS worked extremely well for me. All right, now we should be able to get 3 to 5 sales calls per day pretty consistently. And here becomes the biggest problem, is actually doing the sales calls. And this is mostly where I see the split off happens. I see people, using my exact strategy. They apply everything that I give them, and they start getting consistent sales calls, right? I don't really have a problem getting consistent sales calls. The problem then becomes people suck at the closing part. Now, here's the first thing. Most people think that they just suck at closing and they were born an introvert and whatever, right? No one is born an introvert. No one is born an extrovert. No one is born a salesperson, okay? I hate to be all woo-woo-y and all that stuff, but it is mostly with sales. It is mostly just about belief and what you believe yourself to be, right? And so I'll give you 2 examples. So I had someone come in, and I gave them an offer. I gave them the automations, gave them exactly what they needed to do, and they were consistently getting 3 to 5 sales calls per day. Pretty awesome, right? But they didn't close anything for several months because they said, well, I just suck at closing. Right? And so I was like, no, you don't suck at closing. Just try, there's several things you can do. You can try this, you can try that. Oh, I tried all that and nothing works. Nothing ever works for me, right? So they had that limiting belief in their head that they can't do it. Now contrast that to someone I talked to about a month ago, a kid that came in, and on the first call with me, he said, you know what, I'm going to make $10,000 this month, and we're going to get this to work within the first 2 weeks, right? And I was like, yeah, we can get this to work within the first 2 weeks. So he starts working on all this stuff. He spends about the weekend trying to go through most of the material. He then starts sending out messages Tuesday or Wednesday, something like that. And within the first day of sending messages, he gets like 30 people interested. Out of those 30 people, he calls a few of them, gets like 3 booked sales calls. Out of those 3 sales calls, close 2 out of 3, right? That's within the first week of actually sending out messages, or the first 2 days of sending out messages. So what's the main difference, right? The only real difference is they both got plenty of sales calls, but one guy said, I can't do this, and the other guy said he could, right? That's really the only difference. Now, if you really think you suck, you can hire a closer, right? That's really not that hard to hire a closer. They are a dime a dozen. But I'd rather you try to believe in yourself. I know it sounds dumb, but believe in yourself and do the sales calls yourself. I'll give you an example. I was playing basketball one day, and I sucked so bad. I was like 3 out of 50 from the 3-point line, right? So I was like shooting it. Nothing was going in. After like the 50th shot of not going in, I caught the ball and I said, why do I suck so bad? I suck so bad at this. And nothing is going in, right? But then I was like, what if I just changed what I said to myself? What if I just said, I can hit every shot on the court, go to the 3-point line, put it up, and it goes in. Holy cow. Does it really work? Let me try again. Let me grab the ball, put it up, it goes in again, and again, and again, and again. And this is after shooting 50 that didn't go in, and then 9 out of 10 in a row go in, right? Now you actually have to feel it. You can't just like say, oh yeah, I have 15 toes. Like, no, you don't. Like, you don't have 15 toes. And so if I say, hey, I have 10 toes, you never really had to think about it, right? Because you already believed it. And so you have to actually feel it and believe it when you're on the sales call. Like, look, I'm going to close this call. I actually uploaded a video. I think my last video is just, I closed a call while playing Rocket League, while playing video games. And at the beginning of the call, you can hear me. I'm like, look, we're just going to close this call. I had no clue who this guy was and no clue where he came from, whatever. On the call, he was like the most perfect sales call I've ever had, right? And you might think, oh, he already knew he was going to close the call because he was already a referral, whatever. I didn't know any of that before the call. I just went to the call. Look, we're going to close this. Got on the call and we closed. Again, I try to do that for most of my calls. I don't close 100% of my calls, but I close a lot of them. Now, if you've done all this and you feel like you cannot overcome doing the sales calls and whatever, you can hire a closer. It's really not that hard. There's plenty of Facebook groups of closers and high ticket whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you can just go into that group, say, hey, I'm looking for a closer for this specific offer. You'll get 50 people applying for your job within minutes. It costs you absolutely nothing, and usually you just give them a percentage. So if usually it's between 10 and 30% of the sale. So if they're selling for $3,000, you're giving them 20%. They're getting $600 out of that. So you don't have to pay anything up front. They're just closing on commission. Usually I just try to vet them first. So to vet them, all I do is I just say, hey, send me some sales call recordings you've had in the past, just so I know you're legit. If they don't have any recordings, then you don't want to work with them. The next thing is when we're on these sales calls, when we're talking to these prospects, we want to give them literally just whatever they want. Right now, it's just about selling the dream and seeing if we can actually sell it. Just think of it as like a Kickstarter campaign. You know, Kickstarter is a platform where they say, hey, here's the product that we're trying to build. You give us money and we'll build the product, right? It doesn't even exist yet. And people pay to get the products, right? And so now we have proof of concept. We know that the market really wants this thing and they're willing to pay for this thing. And so now we can focus on building it. So what I try to do is whatever they're saying on the phone, I will try to give them whatever that is, right? So I remember I was doing, going after roofing and solar companies, right? And so I was able to get like 10 sales calls per day using this SMS strategy. It was working really well. But then when I was on the phone, I was trying to sell them Facebook ads. And a lot of times they would say, I've tried Facebook ads in the past and it just did not work for me at all. And so it was really annoying because I was like trying to sell something that they didn't really want. It's like pulling teeth. And it's obviously, again, if it's already hard, it's only going to get harder. If it's easy, it's going to stay easy, right? And so I was thinking, well, what do they actually want? And a lot of times when I was on these calls, they always were talking about the traditional methods of marketing. And we're men and we go out and we knock on doors. And so I was like, okay, interesting. So then I sent a message to like 100 people. I sent saying, hey, I will help you build out a canvassing team. I don't even know here's what a canvassing team is. It is a door-to-door sales team. I literally just learned what the word canvassing was, right? And so learn the word canvassing, send out a message, hey, I'll help you build a canvassing team, door-to-door sales. I had gotten so many replies, probably the highest response I've ever gotten on any campaign. I've got so many people calling me saying, hey, how does it work, right? And then I just started spitballing. I had no clue how to build a canvassing team. I did door-to-door sales for one day, professionally, I guess, with like a real job. I used to do I sold popcorn door-to-door, when I was like a Boy Scout or something, and that sucked too. But anyways, they would call me and they would say, how does this work? Again, I have no clue how to do any of this. But I said, again, we just want to act like we know what we're talking about, act like we're the expert, and I'm going to just sell them the dream. Yeah, so what we do is we're going to build out a canvassing team for you. We're going to get 3 people. We're going to get the permits in the local area. These are just things that I learned, doing a little bit of door-to-door sales myself. Just like we have to have some permits for some certain cities, something like that. And we'll go to the affluent neighborhoods in your city, go to the ones with the big houses. So we know, we're going to put solar roofs on the big houses, but obviously they can afford it and all this other jazz, right? And so I'm just selling this to them, and they're like, yeah, that's awesome. Just send me over the contract. And so I got so many people, yes, that's awesome. Send the contract. Again, if it's easy, it's going to stay easy. This software was extremely easy. Now, again, I also didn't know how to do this at all. So I just did some research and I learned a little bit. I also posted on Facebook, hey, does anyone know how to really build a canvassing team? Does anyone know this industry, blah, blah, blah. I got a few people to respond. Now, I only did research for like 2 days and then I gave up. And that was really dumb of me because if I really went in hard on this industry, I actually talked to a few other people and they're like, oh yeah, I'm really good at canvassing and it's really easy for me to get clients. I was like, man, I should have really stuck to that. I probably could have made millions of dollars in that industry if I really got into it. But I wasn't like a door-to-door salesperson already. It's not like I knew anything about the industry already. But I could have easily, if I would have just done research for a week, I would have gotten a lot further ahead. But I only did research for like a day or two, and then I just kind of gave up on it. And so if you just kind of go in a little farther, because someone else already has a solution, someone else already has the answer. So if you just dig a little deeper than anybody else is willing to dig, go in there for a week and actually find a solution for them. Or even you can just sell it first and then figure out the solution later. Just like Elon Musk will have, hey, here's the new car that's coming out. Here's the Cybertruck, right? It takes 5 years to come out. Or what's the other one? the Roadster, right? It's I don't know, 6-7 years before it's not even out yet, and they give all these specs. Hey, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, going to be that. By the time the Cybertruck comes out, it kind of looks the same, but it's a lot smaller. It's not all the specs that they said it was going to be. It's a lot more expensive than they said it was going to be, but people are still extremely happy. They love their Cybertruck, right? And so we sell it first. We say, hey, here's the vision. Give me the money, right? They give you the money. We try to figure it out. If we can't figure it out, that's okay. You can just send the money back. It's that easy, right? And then you're not obligated. You don't have to worry about anything, any legal trouble, whatever. You just send the money back, and you couldn't figure it out. All good, right? But if we can figure it out, then we can make a ton of money with that offer. So that's what we did. We focused on sales, stole somebody else's offer, set up the automations as quickly as we possibly could, started doing manual processes to get as many booked sales calls as possible, then sold them the dream on these sales calls. If you want me to help you get appointments, booked calls, or clients within the first 2 weeks, guaranteed, you can book a call directly with me below. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.